Hey listeners, last year was our 15th year of the best in food storytelling. As we head into 2025, we're kicking off a contest in collaboration with the podcast series Feast and Harmony and Sixth Man, where you have the opportunity to win a 4-night cruise for 2 on Chefs Making Waves, a food, wine, and spirits festival at sea. When you donate to HRN, you'll be entered for the chance to win a porthole cabin for 2 on Chefs Making Waves, sailing May 5th through 9th, 2025, from Miami to Cozumel, Mexico on Norwegian Gem. You'll also support another year of great food storytelling with a portion of your donation going toward disaster relief for the food and beverage communities within Western North Carolina and Southern California. This cruise is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for culinary adventurers, featuring top celebrity chefs including Jonathan Waxman, Antonio Lafaso, Robert Irvine, and many, many more. There's a myriad of experiences such as restaurant takeovers, live food and mixology demos, themed parties, and more. To enter your chance to win, please visit heritageradionetwork.org/cruise. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 21 or over to enter. That's heritageradionetwork.org/cruise.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Hello, welcome to Japan Eats. I'm your host, Akiko Tema, food writer and the director of the New York Japanese Culinary Academy, which promotes a deep understanding of Japanese cuisine in America. We are broadcasting live from Brooklyn, New York. This show is all about Japanese food and food culture. We see sushi at every day in the supermarket, but what is beyond sushi? We hear dashi ramen izakaya, but what exactly are they? The Japanese food is still a mystery for many people, and I try to demystify it in this program for my good guests. My guest today is Kumiko Hashimoto, who grew up in the family of the 200-year-old sake brewery in Osaka. She now plays a key role at the Dojima Sake Brewery near Cambridge in the UK, which the family founded in 2018. Dojima Sake Brewery is the first sake brewery in the UK. It is known not just for the quality of sake it produces, but the scale of the project. The property is set in a historic, approximately 75-acre garden and pastureland, and its sake is priced far above the regular premium sake for good reason, which we're going to discuss later. So today we will discuss why the traditional sake brewery family decided to undertake such a huge, ambitious project, and the joy and challenges of producing sake in Britain, the important mission of Dojima Sake Brewery for the entire sake industry, and much, much more. But before we start, Japan Eats is available on the Heritage Radio Network website, as well as on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify as a podcast. So please go to iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, whichever you listen to, and subscribe to Japan Eats. And please write a review. We truly appreciate your feedback. Now, let's start a conversation with Kumiko Hashimoto. Hello, Kumiko. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me, Akiko-san.
This is exciting. The first sake brewery in the UK. First, to get to know you, where are you from? Which I told you, it was like Osaka. But what did you eat when you grew up in a very peculiar and fantastic family upbringing in Osaka?
I grew up in central Osaka. If you know Osaka area, I'm close to like Abeno Tennoji. That now they have really tall building called Abeno Harukasu. I think that's the name of the building. What did I eat? Mostly, just home cooked meals. I always liked a lot of dashi. So I think Osaka, Kyoto area, we're known for this dashi culture. So I prefer something rich in dashi than like too salty or too greasy, too oily, or too like sauce, like okonomiyaki sauce. So that's probably something that has a big impact on my taste palette.
Right, interesting. So, listeners who are not familiar with the Japanese dashi, the difference between East and the West, meaning Tokyo and Osaka and Kyoto, it's a whole other episode. And Kumiko, you can come back and discuss it maybe. But so, yeah, it's interesting that because we're going to discuss about your sake you're making in Britain and, back in Osaka. I mean, that kind of subtle difference of dashi taste between different regions of Japan, I think it's going to be a very subtle but noticeable difference when you make something to eat or drink, which you do. Right? So you grew up in a family of the 200-year-old sake brewery in Osaka. So could you tell us the history of your family business?
So the brewery we call it Mother Brewery in Osaka. It's called Kotobuki Sake Brewery. This is not in central Osaka. The brewery is in Takatsuki City. That's northern part of Osaka, quite close to Kyoto. And this mother brewery was established in 1822. So we're just over 200 years old, 203 now. It's going to be a bit of a long story, but this Osaka Kotobuki Sake Brewery, this is my father's side of family. And my father, he's the second son of this family. So, he knew that he wouldn't take over the business in the end. So he always wanted to do something new, something for his own. And that was the micro beer brewing. So back in 1994, Japanese regulations for micro beer brewing was lifted. So there are movements of micro beer brewing, like craft beer movement, just emerging in Japan. And my father, he was one of the first people who started this micro beer brewing, and he started his micro beer brewery in this place called Dojima in Osaka. So Dojima is an area in central Osaka. And if you know a bit of a rice history, so there used to be a rice exchange market, Dojima rice market, during the Edo period. And this market is said to be the world's first futures trading market. So my father picked this area, Dojima, because he loves history like this. And of course, rice is the main ingredient of sake. And this name or this place, Dojima, holds such a historical value. So my father started his own beer brewery in the 1994, 95. And after maybe 5-6 years of this beer business, my family actually moved to Myanmar. Some people know it as Burma in Southeast Asia. I have a big family. There's parents and there's 6 children, and I'm the eldest of the 6. So that's 8 of us. And when we moved to Myanmar, that was a big family moving, migrating from Japan to Myanmar, and a beer business in Myanmar as well. And I was already 15 or 16, so I was in high school in Osaka. I went to international school in Yangon for like 3 years, and I graduated from there, and I went back to Japan for university. But my family stayed behind for this beer business. And in total, they lived in Myanmar for 13 years.
Wow.
So that take us to around 2000 on this timeline. Around 2000, if you remember, there was a political uncertainty in Myanmar. There was a democratic movement in the country. And this is when one of my sisters, she graduated from this international school in Yangon, and she was enrolled in Cardiff University. That's in the UK. So those things kind of collided, and that gave my parents an idea to move to the UK so that one, they could be close to my sister, especially my mother. She was always interested in English educational system. So by moving to the UK, my parents thought they could give my siblings, another English education. So initially, we didn't move to the UK, thinking that we would start a new sake brewery. So initially, it was a private kind of family reasoning behind it.
Right. And I heard, so in 2015, your family bought the historic Fordham Abbey near Cambridge in the UK and started a sake brewery as a result of all those family decision making. So, and the property is huge, set in approximately 75-acre garden and pastureland. So, why did the traditional Japanese sake brewery decide to undertake such a huge, ambitious project in a very non-Japanese setup?
Yes, for the Mabis, it's very, very English, and it also has an old history. So because as it says, abbey. It used to be a monastery in the 13th century.
Wow.
And but initially we didn't know about Fordham Abbey. We were not looking for a big estate like this. But after moving to the UK, we thought, my parents thought, because we couldn't make sake back in Myanmar because it's just really too hot. It's just too hot in Myanmar. And back then we didn't have clean water or, stable electricity. But in the UK, we get cooler climates and, lots of water and stable power supply. So after 13 years of being away from sake business, my father wanted to come back to sake. And this is when we started looking for a place to set up our UK Sake Brewery. So we were looking for probably like old winery or like a beer brewery or even stables, like some old buildings. But we just happened to be in the area of Fordham Abbey, and then the moment we saw the estate, we just fell in love with the beauty. And this is how my parents decided, okay, we have to have a sake brewery here. And so we didn't. Yeah, it was sort of a coincidence that we discovered Fordham Abbey.
Right. Well, that sounds a very expensive project too. And I read an article about your mother and the
Mm-hmm.
CEO of Dojima Sake Brewery, Kiyomi Hashimoto.
Mm-hmm.
She had a clear vision and initiated this whole project that could include potentially huge financial risks, but that's amazing how she made such a big decision successfully.
It's been definitely costly because first the purchase of the estate for the Abbey, and there's been a lot of repairing of old buildings on the estate, and naturally the construction of the brewery itself. On top of that, we built a Japanese garden. We used to have a tennis court and swimming pool where the Japanese garden is now. And also we have a sake Shinto shrine in the Japanese garden, and also a pottery workshop, like sort of atelier. So there has been a lot of projects and constructions on the estate as well.
Right. But how did the process of building Japanese sake brewery go in a rural area of Britain? And it must have been a lot of work to convince the local government and the community to accept the proposal.
So this Fordham Abbey estate is it's a grade 2 listed estate, meaning that there are certain regulations and rules that we must follow whenever we want to change anything to any building that's built on this estate. So that's one of the hardships that we have. And also because we are the first sake brewery built in the UK, we had lots of meetings with the government regarding, where do we fit? Where does sake fit in this duty, taxes, and all sorts of that conversation took place as well. And also with our local council and also the local people who live there, we made sure that they felt comfortable, and then they knew who we were, what we were planning to do. So luckily, when they had at the local council, when they had the meeting to vote to decide whether they give us a go or no, we actually had a unanimous okay, like all yes to our project. So that's why we are really grateful. And we had a very helpful support from the UK trade and investment department as well. So I think mostly I think people have been quite supportive of our project.
Mm. Right. And also, I read an article that the council, head of the council, I guess, to give you a go sign, he
Mhm.
was impressed how perfect the proposal was. It's everything, all the work was done, and it should be utilized for the future proposal. So, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. So, we'll take a quick break here. And when we come back, we'll discuss the concept of Dojima Sake Brewery. So, please stay with us.
Today's program is brought to you by Korin, a supplier of Japanese chef knives and restaurant supplies. Korin is proud of their Japanese culture and traditions, but they want you to know that their products are not just for Japanese restaurants. Their knives and tableware bring out the best qualities of food from every culture and fit into every restaurant from French to Pan-Asian to American. And that is why they're located in New York City, where people from every country in the world come to eat. Korin's Tribeca showroom is home to the most extensive collection of Japanese chef knives in the world, including Japan. Stop by to view their exquisitely designed tableware and the rarest natural sharpening stones. They have a whole range of knife services from repair and rust removal to reshaping and realigning. Korin is dedicated to this ideal, bringing the highest quality Japanese design to your table so you can experience the unparalleled quality of Japanese craftsmanship in your home or restaurant. For more information, visit Korin.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Japan Needs on HRN, Heritage Radio Network. I'm your host, Aki Katayama, and my guest today is Kumiko Hashimoto, who grew up in the family of the 200-year-old sake brewery in Osaka. She now plays a key role at the Dojima Sake Brewery near Cambridge in the UK, which the family founded in 2018. Okay, so let's talk about Dojima Sake Brewery, which was officially founded in September 2018. So what is the concept of Dojima Sake Brewery and what is your mission?
Our goal is to become kakehashi. So kakehashi is a Japanese word. It means it's a bridge between. It's not just a physical bridge, but it's a bridge between two cultures, different cultures, different people. So we want to be a kakehashi, obviously between Japan and the UK, but also sake and people, and also past, now, and future. Because sake obviously has a long history of Japan, and now we have, established ourselves in this for the Mabi, which also has a long, long history. And now we have Shinto Shrine, which is the official branch of Matsuo Grand Shrine. This is the sake worship place in Kyoto. If you know, in Arashiyama, there's a shrine called Matsuo Shrine and Matsuo Grand Shrine. And now we have, part of this Matsuo Grand Shrine to ourselves. So I feel like we are responsible to connect all of this history of Mabi and sake and Shinto. So our mission is to, of course, to brew beautiful and delicious sake, but through this art of sake making, we like to convey and express a bit of this Japanese mentality, Japanese philosophy. But not only that, we like to create, because we're in the heart of the UK, we like to create a new community, new culture who appreciate, this heritage, beauty, and nature.
So just for listeners who are not familiar with what's happening in the Japanese sake industry, Japanese sake export has reached the record high in the last couple of years, but it's because of the premium sake export. And then in Japan, there used to be about 3,500 sake breweries in 1970s, but then now it's around 1,000 or even less, according to what I heard. The operating line sake breweries tend to be even less than 1,000. So it's a very risky status. Someone like Kumiko-san, what you're doing, your family is doing is something to add energy to the industry, the entire industry. So yeah, that the bridging and connecting the past and future, I think it's really a key concept of Dojima Sake Brewery. So, and to accomplish your mission, you need resources. And in sake production, it is said that the skills and knowledge of the people particularly important compared to other products like wine or beer, where the quality of ingredients is strongly emphasized. So first of all, who is the Toji or brewmaster at Dojima Sake Brewery, and also who is the Kurabito who supports Toji?
So at the moment, we got two brewers at Fordham Abbey at Dojima Sake Brewery, and that's actually myself and my brother,
Wow.
my younger brother. Yeah, so two of the six siblings are involved in sake making in the family, and but we are still quite a young, I mean, young brewer. So I knew, I mean, once a year we have our mentor Toji-san come from Japan, and he would he would look after us. And then he would maybe criticize us. No, not really so much, but he's there to guide us.
Right. So it's a family business deeply. So that's the whole thing, the mindset and also the palate about the sake you're making comes into Britain untouched. Right. So in sake production, water is major
Yes.
ingredient, very major. So, but the UK is not known for its hard water. Much harder than in Japan. Like, when you make English tea, people say it tastes differently than you make the same leaf in tea in Japan. So how do you deal with that, the different nature of water in Britain?
Yeah, so yes, indeed, we get a very hard water. So like you take shower and then, like after 1 or 2 days, like you get scaling all over the shower heads. But luckily, at Fordham Abbey, so we have a well. So we use our underground water. And fortunately, our own water is kind of on the softer side, but still we treat our water through like softening process. So that we get rid of unnecessary minerals.
I heard that iron can kind of impart bitterness, but you can really kind of remove it, right, from the process.
So this is why my family, I mean, we knew we would get hard water, but there's always a technology to soften water. So we were not too concerned about it. But we actually bought a sample from this Takatsuki Osaka Mother Brewery, water sample. So, and this water technician, water person, they tried to match the profile of the water. But definitely, I mean, the sake that tastes completely different from what we make from Osaka.
Right. So that's exactly the charm of terroir. And it cannot be the same as Osaka. Right? That's not what you're looking for anyways.
No, definitely.
Right. And then you produce currently two types of sake. One is Dojima and the other one is Cambridge. So could you tell us the types and the characteristics of each sake?
So we call Dojima. So this comes in a black bottle. It's a junmai type of sake. We use 100% Yamada Nishiki sake rice from Hyogo Prefecture. So this Dojima sake, it's fresh, useful, and a bit of a tropical notes, but still it's there's a richness from rice. That's how I describe Dojima. And the other one, Cambridge or Kakehashi, we call it. So this sake also has this bridge between cultures named Cambridge Kakehashi. So this Cambridge is quite special. This is a type called Kijoshu. This is a type of sake partially brewed with sake. So some of the brewing water is substituted, replaced for sake, actually Dojima sake. And for us, we aged this Cambridge or Kakehashi sake at least for 3 years before releasing it. So in this Cambridge Kakehashi comes in a clear bottle because as aging progresses, the color of the sake changes as well. So when it's freshly made, it's slightly yellow, but as aging goes, it changes from that to yellow to deeper amber amber color. So we wanted to show the color changes as well. So this is why the Cambridge sake is in a clear bottle.
Right. So the Yamada is the king of sake rice, and also the quality wise, it's amazing. I wish I could try that, but I haven't. So I would imagine it's a slightly different taste, right? Because kijoshu is not the most commonly made sake, because it's more kind of concentrated by adding sake. I mean the finish at the end of the whole process. So is there any reason that you tried to change kind of it's not that you made it kijoshu and also you age sake, which is not common either. So what's the reason for you to have different approaches for your sake, the two types
Yes.
of sake?
Definitely, we we wanted to make Dojima like Jumai sake and something completely different, something completely new, because we're in the UK, we're in the totally new market, new environment, and our target is European people who have a rich history of wines and whiskey. And, people are so used to this idea of, aging, vintage. So we thought we should try to make sake that can be accepted by European people. So this Kijoshu, our Cambridge Kakehashi sake, is definitely that. And taste-wise, it's sweeter because of this brewing method. So if you had a sandan jikomi, so when we start the actual fermentation of a batch of sake, we put steamed rice koji, and water. But we divide these ingredients into 3 parts. And this is what's called sandan jikomi, 3-step procedure, fermentation. And part 1, we put, rice, water, koji, and then part 2, you add those ingredients over 3 times. For kijoshu, we substitute some of the part 2 water with sake, and all of the water for part 3 with sake. And what happens into the tank is that because we add sake to the tank, obviously the alcohol level goes up in the tank, and then this slows down the activity of yeasts and koji. As a result, there will be a lot more unbroken sugars and proteins that exist in the sake. So this gives a sweetness and more complexity to the sake in general, kijoshu. So yes, our kijoshu it tastes like a bit of honey when it's young, and then as it ages, it changes into kind of banana cake or caramel, and then later it even becomes more umami rich, even like caramelized onion. So the flavor profile of our kijoshu sake, and I think this is very well received by the European palates because it's more complex and there's a bit of acidity, and it's more dimensional, I would say.
Sounds like it's a perfect pairing with the classic British food and the sweets. So
Yes,
nice.
can go really nicely with some roast and dessert as well. So
Right. So how do you describe the taste and flavors of the sake made in the UK? Meaning, like, if you did the same, the kijoshu in Osaka or the aged sake in Osaka, do you think it's going to be different from what you made in the UK?
definitely it's going to be different, especially because we use different water. Osaka Brewery, they use their Osaka water, and over here for them, I wish you could see the place. I think our well water really reflects the beauty and serenity of the estate. Even though we try to do everything the same way, the sake will come out differently. So different.
Right. Yeah. So earlier you mentioned the bridging as your mission. It's amazing, right? That the sake is always in Japan is a regional thing. If you go to one prefecture to the other, or within one prefecture, you can have different regions to make different sake, like it's the Italian wines, I would say. So uh, why not having a very, very good sake that reflects terroir in Cambridge? And I think it's kind of I feel goosebumps because of this whole. Yeah, it's not like anything to be bounded by where it comes from. It's sake, and koji can transfer anywhere on earth.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right? And the rice and water, that's your choice. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's such a universal, easy to make beverage. It's like a beer, but
Hmm.
again, I think sake making really depends on who makes it. Yeah, it's a very exciting project. So yeah, one day I want to visit your
Definitely like human dependent, skill dependent drink to make more than terroir. What we do in koji room when we make our koji, I feel like that's maybe something close to what we can have to like this terroir idea of winemaking. And this koji making, this is the very, very core. It's the heart of sake making. And this, we don't use, koji is used for not only for sake, but as you know, there's miso, soy sauce, rice vinegar, mirin. We need, this koji mold to make all of these essential ingredients in Japanese cuisine. And I think as we have these skills and we have such rich fermentation culture, and this is definitely something we are passionate about and something we like to spread in the UK.
Yeah, and our listeners may wonder why sake is so human dependent. In some part, I've never made sake. I've never involved in that amazing labor. But when you ferment koji, the koji mold acts very differently depending on the temperature or
Yes.
humidity of the room or of the year or the location. So so the Toji cannot, and then Toji and the Toji's assistant, um, they can't sleep that night. Like couple days, like every couple of days, you have to wake up, check the temperature, and you have
Mhm.
to change the stack of
Yes.
the mash, and to make sure everything's evenly done and nothing goes wrong. So it's a very, very labor intensive. And
It is intensive and it's a bit nervous, but I feel like if we are feeling nervous, then maybe that can transfer to koji. So, we don't want that. So every time when we were brewing, my brother and myself, we because we're siblings, we argue sometimes. But when we are brewing, but especially when we're doing koji making, we try to be on a very, very good term before entering the koji room. We try like take a deep breath, get rid of all the negativity. It's all just positive thoughts only. We try.
Right. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Your sake received some media attention, not just for its quality, but for also exclusive pricing. So, but it seems that there's a fair reason, very fair reason for exclusivity. So, what is the price of sake, and why do you price it so high?
Yes, so sake, so Dojima, both Dojima and Kakehashi, Cambridge Kakehashi are sold for £1,000 per bottle, 720 ml. But for Kakehashi, because we age it, the price goes up £100 every vintage, every year. So that's our price for sakes. Yes, it's expensive, but we do everything manually by hand. We use the top quality sake rice, Yamada Nishiki from Japan. And also I think sake is maybe undervalued in general. So there's so much work it's so much work and so much care that put into make sake. So we wanted the price to reflect the hard work we put into our sake as well.
Right. So, what I heard is that traditionally Japanese sake is made for locals. And if you raise the price, you can serve locals. And that's been always a binding factor for
Mm.
traditional sake producers. They work so hard, they should charge more, but
Mm.
they couldn't. And then that practice has been still there. And that's another reason sake industry is shrinking because you cannot be rewarded. And it's such a labor intensive job.
Mhm.
So I think what you're doing is just to kind of like giving a nice earthquake wake up call.
Kind of a shake.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, I understand. I mean, I agree that sake should be available to many people. The first, I mean, sake should be enjoyed by many people as possible. But then yes, we would like to, because we're outside of Japan now, so I think if we could give a little bit of stimulation to sake brewers in Japan and just make a little bit of a change, I think that would be also worth our challenge.
Right. And even in New York, for example, three Michelin star restaurants, non-Japanese, carry Japanese sake. And of course, that kind of wineless beverage list carries the same amount of money with other Burgundy or Bordeaux or
Mhm.
some other expensive wine. So definitely it's not trying to make something valuable. It's definitely there's a value, but people have perception that compared
Yes,
to other
yes,
breweries, you
yes,
can't charge
indeed.
more.
Yeah, I mean, yes, sake has been, more and more popular in New York, in London, Paris for sure. But there's still a huge, we still have to work a lot so that people you know, will be okay with paying, a lot of money for a bottle of sake like they would do for wine. So there's a lot of education and awareness needed for the consumers as well, and also the restaurants, chefs, and sommeliers. So there's a lot of work to be done still.
Right. Well, I wonder sometimes if you do a blind tasting, like it just serve Japanese sake in wine glass along
Mhm.
with the various white wine, people may not notice it's sake. It's just a perception that
Mm.
Japanese sake has to be served with soy sauce or some kind of misperception, which is going to be fixed sometime soon, I hope. But
Yes.
I think you're providing some kind of wake up call to the world. So I am glad you're doing this. So, how does the membership work and what are the benefits of the membership?
Yes. So once you buy our sake, you automatically become a member of Dojima Sake for the Mabi. And as a member, obviously, you become this a part of community and community of like-minded people who appreciate this, who can appreciate this value of sake and the worth of for the Mabi. We also host members-only events, such as tasting or kind of private, semi-private dining experiences. And as a member, you could we call it, there's a manor house. So the Fordham Abbey itself, it's now a private manor house, Georgian manor house. So as a member, you have the access to use manor house and other bits of the estate. So that's the benefits of membership.
Right. So it looks amazing. So the website hornmabi.co.uk, there's some pictures and I wish I could stay there one day.
Please come. Please come.
So yeah, and so who are the current members, by the way?
Clientele, Japanese and English people. So we get 50% of our members are actually Japanese people who come all the way from Japan. And because they're members, they can come and stay at the manor house and in the weekend or however they want it. So that's a big part of our members. But at the same time, we have English or non-UK European members, old and young. Some people, they have a joint membership. They buy one bottle together, and when you buy a bottle, you get to sign your bottle and maybe write a message. And some people are keeping their bottles for upcoming very special occasions, engagement, wedding, or their children's graduation. So yeah, so things like that.
Amazing. Well, it's not a bad idea, right? So if you don't think of the price of the bottle of sake, you
Mm.
buy the experience. You can stay there. So
Yeah.
listeners, if you're interested, you should check the website, horamabi.com,
Yeah.
.co.uk. Right. So what are the reactions to your sake so far by your members or whoever tasted your sake?
I think, I mean, I hope they are being honest, but they can't, they normally say, wow, very delicious. Although, because our sake tastes quite different from, other sakes that maybe they have tasted before. We have a very quite unique style of sake, but normally we give quite a positive feedback. Maybe like shockingly, like some people are shocked that they can't believe this is sake, but in a good way. And they can't believe this is made in the UK, just in Cambridgeshire. So yes, positive feedbacks.
Right. Well, that's amazing how the British terroir does to what you're supposed to do. So, yeah, that's I'm glad to hear that. So, what is the biggest challenge in making sake in the UK?
Maybe something uniquely to the UK would be maybe equipment. I mean, we use whatever we can use. Sometimes, rice steamer or water pipes break down. And unlike in Japan, it takes much longer time for engineers to come by and repair them. So maybe that's one of the biggest hardships. But otherwise, sake making is, as you say, it's quite labor intensive. So I think, like other breweries in Japan, we share the same, not struggles, but problems as we brew. So I don't really see something problematic that's uniquely English, but I think when something breaks down, it takes time for them to come and repair. So we need to be prepared. We need backup plans.
Right.
Normally.
So then what's the biggest joy in making great sake in the UK?
There are so many. I think I personally really enjoy the koji making process. It's quite personal and emotional as well because we're dealing with koji mold that's a living thing. So every time, every day, every batch is different. Yeah, I think this is definitely a learning process. And yeah, I feel great pleasure and pressure as well when making koji. But this is one of the big joys of making sake.
Hmm.
Also, we host events and along with brewery tour and tasting as well. So I get to meet all sorts of people, English, non-English, Japanese, non-Japanese. People come very far as well. Like we sometimes get guests from Brazil, UK, Australia, and all over the UK from different backgrounds. So our sake might be their first sake ever. I think it's I get excited and I get quite happy, when I can share this history of Japan, sake, and art of sake making with those people who come visit us. So that gives me a great pleasure as well.
Right. Well, I'm impressed that your family's huge decision making to purchase such a historic property. It's really working well to attract. It's a great place, and people come and then taste sake. So it's like, what do you want it to offer this kind of a big experience? It really works well
Yes,
for
indeed.
someone.
Yeah. Yeah, because we have the gardens and obviously the brewery itself, not only just learning how sake is made, but our visitors or clients, they can go to the garden. It's a piece of Japan as well. And there's the English side, the old English garden. So I think it's quite an immersive experience when people come visit.
Right. So I'm sure you didn't imagine you'd be actually making koji when you graduated from Myanmar high school. As you never know. Right. So what are your plans and dreams?
Um, as for sake, I mean, personally, I like to, become a better, more experienced brewer myself, but also as as an estate, we like to maybe organize more of like a collaboration events with restaurants and chefs, not only from London, but maybe from Japan. Last year we did a special sushi dining event, sushi restaurant from Osaka called Sanshin. So that was a great experience for us as well. So it's very, the sushi chefs, they flew all the way from Osaka and one from Hiroshima, and they sourced all the fishes. Not all, most of the fishes locally, and and then we served our sake with their sushi. So that we can create something very unique and very exclusive like that. Also, I'm very passionate about sakekasu and use of rice koji in cooking. So every time I go visit a restaurant, I carry a bit of sakekasu with me. And I've been introducing sakekasu to, chefs and restaurants. And in some restaurants, they're using our sakekasu.
Maybe explain what sakekasu is and how chefs can use, or even you can use it at home.
So sakekasu, this is the leftover of sake fermentation. So when the fermentation is complete, we need to separate the liquid sake from the solid. The solid being, it's a mixture of rice and bits of koji and a lot of enzymes and amino acids. And I think in many breweries, they use big machine, like press machine, to press the sake. So sakekasu comes out kind of sort of a clay texture. Whereas in my brewery, we do everything by hand. So, our sakekasu is basically pressed by its own weight and gravity. So our sakekasu is not, clay texture. It's more like, it's more soft because it contains lot more sake compared to normal sakekasu. This is what we get. Sakekasu, this is a leftover product after the sake fermentation. And this sakekasu, you can use it in many different ways. It doesn't have to be even Japanese. But typical dish would be sakekasu marinated fish, for example, salmon. Or you can marinate things, fish, meat, even vegetables. You can make like quick pickles with that. And because sakekasu contains lots of enzymes and, sake already, and rich in amino acids, this is a great cooking ingredient. It can tenderize meat and it can remove this kind of fishy smell if there is. But more importantly, sakekasu can add like so much depth to your cooking, and also it brings everything all together. And on top of that, sakekasu has great health benefits. Again, amino acids and enzymes, those are good things to keep your hair and skin glow, and it's also very good for your gut health as well. So you need to taste it first and then test it, use it in your cooking. So this is why I carry sakekasu and then give samples to chefs in the UK.
Right. Yeah. The sakekasu you can have get some at the Japanese grocery stores, and I like marinating my regular chicken
Mhm.
overnight, and that's
Mhm.
umami bomb. And
Yeah.
also, and some sake breweries produce skin products. And also, I heard because Toji put a lot of times their hands in the koji mash.
Mhm.
Their hands are much younger looking. And I said, wow. So
Yeah.
if you just use it on skin, that definitely works well for.
Yes, that too. Yeah. I sometimes I use my sakekasu as a body scrub as well.
Wow.
It's a good moisturizer.
Right. By the way, do you distribute to restaurants for the sake itself?
Mhm. Yeah, sake as well. Although, as we know, our sake is expensive, but there are still some restaurants who serve our sake. And this is definitely something I like to push. Work on a lot more this year or come in the future. seeing our sake in the restaurants.
Right. It'll be great. So not everybody can come to the Cambridge and buy, the bottle. So it'd be great to be able to go to a restaurant, have a glass, and try it. So, what do you know? Do you know the names off the top of your head that serves your sake?
Yes, there's a kaiseki restaurant called Roketsu. Roketsu. Roketsu.
London.
In London, yes. That. And also another Japanese restaurant called Kyoku, like a memory. Kyoku, also in London. And Sakekasu, other restaurants. Some restaurants in Japan, they serve our sake, but I can't remember their names at the moment. But yes, those are really good restaurants.
Right. Hopefully, we can find more restaurants and try
Yes.
your sake. So, is it on the website or you don't show it where to taste your sake on your website?
We should have that information on the website as well.
Okay, so where can we find your updates online on social media?
Yes, social media, we've got Instagram account, both for the brewery, so it's Dojima Sake, and also the Fordham Abbey Estate. It just spells out Dojima Sake and Fordham Abbey Estate. Those are the two accounts. I would say, but the best way to get news and updates from us would be on our mailing list, which you can find the link on the website fordhamabbey.co.uk.
Great. Yeah, so that website, formabbey.co.uk, has a link, of course, directly linked to the brewery in sake, shrine events, gardens, shopping, everything. So,
Yes.
right. Okay, so, well, this is amazing, exciting. So good luck and thanks so much for joining us today, Kumiko.
Thank you so much, Akiko-san.
Okay, listeners, if you have any questions or comments about the show or suggestions for show topics or guests, please contact us at japaneats@heritageradionetwork.org or akikotema.com. Japaneats is a weekly program and is always available at heritageradionetwork.org as well as on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify as a podcast. Our engineer is Gabriel Jean, and thanks for listening. I will see you next week.